What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Sports is My Love Language podcast, man. Welcome to our living room. Welcome to our barbershop where we talk it up, we chop it up, and we're going to talk that stuff. Man, so much going on. And as always, the gift that keeps on giving, the NFL, man. A lot went on this weekend, and we're really excited about to talk about it, man. You know, it was by all accounts, it was a great game. I mean, I have so many highs, so many lows that I want to talk about. I know everybody else is ready to chime in. We definitely need to talk about what your thoughts are on that last call, the penalty. I want to hear people's perspective. I was hoping to get Sean on, you know, from official standpoint to see what he thought about it and what he would have done in that situation. Hopefully he could chime in for a few minutes if he's around. So as always, man, I got my characters. My man PD Pablo, aka El Schefter, my man aka Brat, is in the house as well, the local Eagles fan. So guys, let's start with this. The highs and the lows. Let's pick out something that we really loved about the Super Bowl that we saw, some of the highs, and then give me some of your lows. You know, let's start with PD because I know Akil got plenty to say. Petey, what's some of the highs and some of the lows you saw for the Super Bowl? You took away from the Super Bowl.
Well, one of the highs is that it was just overall, it was a really good game. You know, it was close from pretty much beginning to end. Two good young quarterbacks that are probably going to be playing at a high level for a lot of years to come.
Yeah.
One of the highs that I took overall is that this is now Patrick Mahomes' league. Brady's retired, and this is his league now. You know, 2 Super Bowls out of the last, 2 Super Bowls wins, 3 Super Bowl visits, 5 straight AFC champion, 5 AFC championship games every year that he's been a starter, and he's just getting started more than likelihood, so it's his league for everyone else to look up and try to attain. The good thing is for the Jalen Hurts side is that, I'm going to assume that Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone from Green Bay, more than likely on the Jets or the Raiders. So I'm just going to assume he's out.
Good lift to God's ears.
So he's the quarterback in the NFC. So it's just good that we have that on both sides of the conference, and those other AFC quarterbacks, those young guns that are out there, they've got a good mountain to climb and try to overtake.
What were some of the lows? What were some of the takeaways that what didn't you like about the Super Bowl that you saw?
From my perspective, there was nothing I didn't really dislike. So, and we'll get into the call in a little bit, but to me, I didn't find it to be a huge deal, so there was nothing that really disappointed me about the game. Both quarterbacks played well. Jalen Hurts balled out. Mahomes did what he had to do when he had to do it, especially in that second half. Really, I guess, disappointing is not really something I came out of in that game.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. AK, go ahead, give it to us, man. Give it to us raw.
Let it out, man. Let it out.
I think the disappointing part was the field, first of all.
Yeah.
You have all year to make that right. How you have a 94-year-old person? There's so much money that goes into the Super Bowl. It doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? You have a dome. You have all that. None of that makes sense to me, man. It's not the reason we lost. Both teams had to play on that field. I do think that with our, pass rush, it probably hurt us a little bit more. But, that's just something that you just can't have happen. It's not something you'd ever see in the Sugar Bowl or the Orange Bowl or the NCAA championships. How do you see that in the NFL? It's crazy. The most other disappointing thing is the way our defense played in the second half. Everything underneath, it was the same problem we've always had with Gannon. Everything underneath, he just allows to go, and we got fooled with the same play twice. wide open touchdowns, and it was just really disappointing. We had the game. I think we were the better team, but they pulled it out. I think we got out coached in the second half with Reed and from their side and Gannon from our side.
Is it not what you've been saying all year though?
Yeah.
Was it not a lot more of what you've been saying all year? You've been tooting. I got to give you the props because you've been tooting that, saying that your team, for some reason, in the third and fourth quarter, the adjustments are not good. I remember you saying that vividly. I'm like, yo, dude, I'm watching the game. And I'm like, holy shit, dude. It's like history repeating itself. These guys, what are they doing? And it's the coaching. But God, I'm gonna let you finish. Yeah.
No, I mean those things are the main disappointing aspects of it. When we gave up 7 points on a fumble that he didn't get touched. That's unfortunate, but he had a hell of a game. We gave up a punt return down to the 3-yard line, which again,
to your boy Kadarius Toney. Oh my,
very unfortunate, man. But I think the biggest takeaway is we didn't play properly on defense, and in the end, that's something that you have to be able to scheme better. You have to be able to adjust better. We've been screaming to play more man, which they finally did play a little more man, but you don't play man on the goal line, the 2 or 3 yard line. That's just ridiculous. So yeah, we had some defensive lapses, and that game got Jonathan Gannon the head coaching job in Arizona. So,
hey, Ken, do you think? We're not going to talk about the Eagles' schedule. Schedule is a schedule, whatever. That it is what it is. But as far as the playoff opponents, them not being challenged defensively, do you think that was a factor?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think it would have changed what Jonathan Gannon's defense was.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like the last 2 years I've seen, and our defense was much better this year. But whenever we play a good quarterback, that's willing to take the short yardage, which is probably the biggest adjustment that Mahomes has had since he lost to Tampa and since he lost Tyreek Hill. We don't do well against that. I mean, Andy Dalton started the game 12 for 12, 13 for 13. Dak went 24 for 24. It's just we just give up those plays. And unless we're up by a ton and then they have to kind of push it down the field, it doesn't work to our benefit. And you can't have 0 sacks. Like, you just can't have 0 sacks. You can't rush
me right
Mahomes.
into mine.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it off to you. You can't blitz Mahomes all day, but you got to pick and choose your spots.
I have a ton of highs and a ton of lows for this game.
Go ahead.
You guys mentioned a couple. I'm going to go. A low is the field. You're absolutely right. That shit was embarrassing. That shit was embarrassing to the league. That was the shape of that field, combined with the halftime show, the destruction that it made, supposedly at the halftime show did. It just doesn't make sense. You're the NFL, bro. You got to get that right. Number one. Highs, the Chiefs' offensive line. That Chiefs' offensive line played all world. They were phenomenal, right?
They were ready.
On the flip side of that, the lows, holy shit, where the hell was the Eagles' defensive line? Where was this all-world leading sack defensive line? I can't put that on coaching, because you guys have been rushing 4, been rushing 5. That's what you've been doing all year. And you've been getting to the quarterback. What happened? Where did these guys, where did my man, number 7, where'd he go?
Reddick?
Yeah, Reddick, where'd he go? Freaking leading sack, like he just disappeared, dude. And it exposed your back end when you don't have that rush. See, before it was like, what came first, the chicken and the egg? Was the D-backs the reason that you could get to the quarterback because of coverage, or was no? Now we know the D-backs covering is exposed because the defensive line cannot get to that quarterback.
Not even because Mahomes didn't light them up down the field. So
he didn't have to. He was efficient.
That's what I'm saying. But he wasn't even throwing. But he wasn't even throwing downfield that much either. He was taking all the underneath stuff.
No. What happens is they were in this weird man zone combination that they were running, and he literally had the time to pick them apart. See, what happens is before, when the rush was getting to the quarterback, you knew that these players didn't have a time to settle into a zone, or they were stuck getting covered over the top. They didn't have the time or the opportunity to get away. And this time, you could tell, you're like, holy shit, this is what happens with a little bit of time. Let me tell you something. I feel bad for the Eagles if that's the recipe, because now the entire league has the recipe to beat them. You know what I'm saying? I believe that they're a good team, but they laid out the recipe to beat them. There's a recipe out there. If they keep that same philosophy, they need to fix that like crazy. What do you call it? Highs, the quarterback play. I think the quarterback play was phenomenal. Phenomenal. If there's any doubt that you could win a Super Bowl with a running quarterback, you absolutely can. And that's what Jalen Hurts proved that to me. I don't care because they did not lose that game because of him. And he 300 plus yards passing. What do you call over 70 yards rushing? Yo, I don't know how many fourth downs he made with that one little play that they're gonna review now with the rules committee because they're thinking that that's not a what do you call it? He played Tyson. He played out of his mind. He played out of his mind. He was phenomenal. Highs, Andy Reid, offensive coordinator, whoever that was, Eric Bieniemy. Highs, lows, the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles in that second half. I don't know. I don't know. Like to me, it was like, dude, was maybe your head was on your next job or something? Like literally, you made no effort. How are they going to be now? I'm not gonna harp too much on that play because the way they set up those back-to-back plays, it was the same play but in the different. That was beauty. That was just great coaching. That was beauty on the side of Kansas City. Where else we go? Highs and lows. I just had so many highs. The Eagles wide receivers played phenomenal. Travis Kelce played phenomenal. You know what I mean? There was a lot of great play in that what do you call it? In that Super Bowl. And it's sad that, you know, which we're gonna segue into the back end to the call. It all depends on where you land. There's two philosophies, I believe. The one philosophy is be consistent, let them play, right? Stay with the call. Or you have to make the call because it's the call. Oh, yeah, Pacheco, the running back for Kansas City, out of his mind. Awesome, played great. Let's go. Petey, let's talk about the call.
I was fine with it. It is what it is. I mean, it's defensive holding. Grabbing the jersey, tugging at the jersey is defensive holding.
Address it in terms of argue it against the people that say
you gotta swallow your whistle at that moment.
Consistency matters. Does consistency matter?
Okay. You know me. I'm about facts. How many plays did they let go in that game? Everyone says they let it go throughout the game. Okay, show me how many they let go. Someone tell me how many they let go. If you tell me they let go 15 or 20 plays earlier and then they decided to call it, fine. Then that's inconsistent. But how do we know that it was happening all game long and with every receiver? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying one or the other. But everyone is saying, they let him play. That's me. People insinuating that was going on at almost every play, or in a lot of plays. So I just want to say, show them to me, and I will agree with you. But if we look at every play and you only see a handful of them throughout the course of the game, then what? It's not really letting him play. It's just they didn't call one on Juju earlier in the game. That was even more blatant. They missed that one. So are we just saying this was intentional by the officials, or was the official just calling what he saw at that moment? That's all I'm saying.
See, here's the thing. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you. It's just a matter of philosophy. It's just a matter of the way. I want to hear, AK, what were your thoughts? Are you good with it, or were you kind of like? Because
I don't think you make that call at that, like within the first 5 yards in that time of the game. No, I don't think you make that call. I think the concept is you could call a penalty on every play in the NFL, basically. You know what I mean? So and I don't think it was a catchable ball either. So I think, I don't think you make that call.
But it wasn't pass interference. It was defensive holding. The ball is irrelevant at that time. They call defensive holding before the ball is thrown. Once the ball is thrown, it becomes interference. Right. And then the catchable thing comes into play once the ball is in the air.
But it's under PI.
Fair enough. It was a very quick, like right off the bat. So I think it's calling a tic-tac foul in the most important part of the game. Like we would have got the ball back with 90 plus seconds left, down 3 to either tie or win the game. So yes, there was a little bit of holding there, of course, at the beginning of the play. You can argue. I mean, I kind of agree with what you're saying to a large extent in that you decide whether you want to call or not. I just don't think it's the appropriate time to call it. Certainly. Like that's not. I mean, it's a tic-tac foul.
I think the part of people saying that annoys me the most isn't what you're saying, AK, about it, being that borderline tic-tac, foul. I think the part of this annoying me that I hear people say is that, oh, well, you don't call that because then, Casey kicks the field goal and then Philly gets a chance to win the game at the end. Who the fuck cares? Casey doesn't care about that shit.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So people are like, oh, we were robbed of an ending. Neither team gives a shit about that either. I think that's the part that has annoyed me the most about people are saying, don't call that because then we can see if Jalen can drive him down and either tie or not get it done or game-winning touchdown. Fuck off.
But I hear you, but I also think like if not for like the still photo of seeing him like the hand on the jersey and a little bit of the tugging, it wasn't something that we saw real time. And when you look at Jalen Hurts fumble, the still photo is the guy holding his face mask. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's different in a still photo than watching it real time. I think watching it real time, it was just a tic-tac foul. Like, and you don't need to call a tic-tac foul to determine the game. That was the game. The game was over after that. No timeouts, run the clock down, kick a freaking 20-yard field goal. So while I completely agree, like you can't make the call because you want to see the game go longer, I certainly believe that in that area, you don't make that tic-tac foul call. Again, there's so many other things that happened that were the reason why we lost. But I'm not going to sit over here and say that we lost all because of that one play. That's stupid. But like, look, you hold Patrick Mahomes to under 100 yards passing in both halves. Literally, there's two teams in the history of the NFL who have won the Super Bowl with no pass plays longer than 22 yards. This year's Chiefs, 1990 Giants. Like, you know what I mean? Like we did. He threw for 3 touchdowns, and our defense, the second half, it was terrible. Like the yards per play, the score, it was just terrible. But it hurts as an Eagles fan because this is a game you should win. This is a game you should win. And again, this is not about that call. Like I've said what I need to say about that call, but this is a game. The reason why it hurts so much is this is a game that we should have won.
I had told Mike because I was watching it with Mike. And I think I even said it last week. I go, if that game is close, it's for Mahomes to take. Because you're right, that Eagles team was a lot better. And if you would have told me that Mahomes is only going to throw for 180 something yards, and maybe that's what you were going to hold him to that, and you were going to score 35 points if you're the Eagles.
Most points ever in a loss in the Super Bowl, yeah.
Right. I'm going to sit there and say, oh shit, the Chiefs are going to get the ass kicked. Right. They're going to get the ass kicked like that because 187. Shit, nothing's happening. And
right. You wouldn't expect them to rush for 180, 90 yards.
That thing, it's just 150 or 100. Some shit.
They had 19 for 119 in the second half alone.
And that's almost broke one, and he almost broke one.
And that's he did. And that's another thing that, like, obviously the average person is not really looking at, but I know as an Eagles fan, like, what was the strength of our D-line? We had X amount of people with over this many sacks. We brought in Joseph. We brought in Sue. Mm-hmm. Like, we had a ton of depth. Yeah. And yet Brandon Graham played less than like 30% of the snaps. Fletcher Cox played the second most snaps all season. Hargrove played the second most snaps all season.
Yeah, I don't.
Reddick and
your defense coordinator took the bed.
Like, dude, especially once they're running on us. That's why you brought in Sue and Joseph. Like,
yeah, but that was still their weakness all year. Even with those, even when they brought those two guys because of the injuries.
But yeah, I agree, Pablo. But the two guys, Cox and Hargrove. In my opinion, after Donald and Jones, and the numbers will dictate this, he's the best pass rushing defensive tackle in football. He's not very good at run defense. Right. So, like, if you're not getting to the quarterback anyway, because you say, "Oh, the field is this way," their line is good. Well, at least make a better concerted effort to stop the run, which they weren't able to do, man. Like, and that's another thing that's really bothering me is that when we had Andy Reid, he was a phenomenal coach. But he could never stick to the run in the playoffs. He would always fuck it up with a bad decision. He would always burn timeouts ridiculously. They got the Andy Reid who doesn't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they
got the father that plays with his kids.
I can't imagine that he's losing, and not the whole time, but like he's stuck with the run in the second half. I've never seen him do that in his career. So props to him, man. It's such a combination of so many things. And I'll tell you, I've never seen the city so deflated, man. I was right across the stadium watching the game, and we were ready to go. And the way it turned out, we didn't go nowhere. And don't believe that Eagles fans were busting up the city. We all went home. Nobody even wanted to go out for a drink. We went home. We were disappointed, man. Like,
It was a confusing situation. Now I keep saying the 180 for Patrick. I've never seen a more efficient game played. The guy was every pass he threw felt like it was meaningful. Every pass he threw was on point. Like Travis Kelce had what 76 yards. He had 3 for 76 and like 2 toucds right in the beginning of the game.
He only had 6 catches because I took the under on his total catches.
Look at that shit. It was just a
he was shut out basically in the second half.
Yeah, he
caught everything in the first half.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they pull out Kadarius Toney. They pull out what's his name?
Sky Moore.
Scott. These guys. Let me tell you something. Patrick Mahomes, right, got shit today because he made a remark during the parade. He said that he went that rebuild mode. I don't know what that is. In a rebuild mode, we won the world championship, and people are giving him shit. And I'm like, yo, he's right. Is he lying?
They played the most rookies, I think, out of any team this year.
Yo, dude, they that was a makeshift receiving core. Juju Smith-Schuster was your best receiver. Let me ask you a question. How do you feel about him roasting Bradbury?
He's an idiot.
That's corny.
I thought
so corny.
I thought the same thing, dude. I was like, this guy is such an asshole.
He's a
and then he's gonna get cut.
He's not that good. He's good, but he's not great.
He's a social media star, bro.
He has more TikToks and touchdowns, man. So
dude, he's annoying, bro. I can't stand dude.
He is annoying. So it is what it is. I mean, think about it. Like in the first half, where Philly was completely outplaying them, and Mahomes had the ball for 8 minutes, they were only down 10 at the half. Like you weren't supposed to let them stick around if you're that Eagles team. And if it wasn't for Jalen Hurts balling out, continuing to ball out and answer what Mahomes was throwing in the second half, they might have been blown out in that second half.
Yeah, it was just so, like I said, man, I'll go back to this point. It was very confusing to me, the whole thing, man. It was just like, I hate to see such a masterful performance. And then here's what really pisses me off. You know what really upsets me? That this guy plays this masterful game. Okay? Mind you, he had a fumble. That happens. You'll account for that. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen. Especially when you have the ball in your hand 90% of the time. Why are people throwing shade at him because of that last throw? Turns out he stepped on Kelsey's foot on a.
It doesn't even matter. It's not like they were close anyway. They weren't.
No, but I'm just saying, like it looked like a duck that he threw. Yeah. He actually, Travis Kelce, not Travis, Jason Kelce admitted, yo, he stepped on my foot when he threw that last throw. Yeah, so it wasn't a duck. He just fucking.
But even if he threw it, even if he threw it 50 yards, it still wouldn't have gotten anywhere near the end zone.
Yeah, it just that boy right there, bro. What do you think he's worth to your team next year, cash wise, contract wise? Let's say per year.
We don't have to pay him anything. I mean, of course, I say that hypothetically. He's got one more year on his contract, but you don't want to do that because if you don't pay him anything, then he's going to come for the whole thing the year after. I think you have to find something where you're giving him a pretty big bonus, a good amount of guaranteed money, and hoping that he goes somewhere between 40 and 45. I think the consensus is that he's going to go between 45 and 50. But I think you would hope that he goes somewhere between 40 and 45.
Give you a little room too.
I mean, look, I always think you need to see two fantastic years before you give huge payments.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you can't do this off of 1 year.
We already did it with Wentz, and it backfired on us. But this guy isn't Wentz. I mean, let's be real; he's a completely different football player. But yeah, I'd give him. I would try to give him a bump, like a legit bump. But hey, these guys are in the building, man. If they know for sure, then if he's willing to take.
Well, the owner said that money won't be a problem. That he's going to come out and they're going to pay him.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I would think that Jalen will work with them to try and structure it in a way that. If I'm
Jalen, I try and his agents, then he's got a great management team. I was reading an article on his team, all females.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was so cool about that. But you want to get that now because you've lost both. He's lost his offensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
No, we don't know yet who's gonna be the replacement. But you got to think that that's going to be some type of impact to him, right? Again, depending on who they get. You don't want him to kind of, regress a little, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe not be, like as good as he was this year. You still want him to improve, obviously, decision-making and all that stuff. But you got to find a coordinator that's going to maintain that same type of system. You don't want him to learn a brand new system, right? So you want to, so he's got to get his bag because there's a possibility that there's some leveling off because it's a new coordinator. Because Sirianni wasn't the play caller.
I'll tell you like this: you can't pay for his leadership. You can't pay for the way he studies that. The guy does not give a wrong answer when he's up at that podium.
Yeah, but you don't want him to be another Dak Prescott. He's a good leader. He says the right things.
No. Let me tell you something. I've never been a Dak Prescott guy. I don't put them in the same category. I feel like Jalen Hurts is a guy.
But you just started ringing off the same things about
that this offseason, right? He just seems like he's a worker, bro. I personally, if I'm Philly, I don't throw I don't throw a monster bag at him, but I definitely upgrade him. I definitely put him in a good position.
The line is $230 million. Lamar wants $235.
Yeah, no.
You guys would pay Hurts before Lamar Jackson?
No.
Two different scenarios, man.
Well, I'm just saying, all right, who would you rather have on your football team?
I think Jalen Hurts is the wish version of Lamar Jackson. That's what I think. I think that people doubt what Lamar could do with his arm, but those people didn't watch him in college. He ran a pro-style offense. He threw the ball beautifully. You know what I'm saying? He did these things. It's not like he never did them. He gets to the pros and basically makes fucking chicken salad out of chicken shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't. That level of talent is unique, special, is different. Jalen Hurts is a hard worker whose ceiling is lower than Lamar's, but basement is also higher than Lamar's. You see, I feel like Lamar could fall off at any point and he could sink the ship. You know what I'm saying? If he gets hurt, stuff like that, where for some reason Jalen, his game is just more well-rounded. You just do a couple more things. I just think Lamar does what he does at the best level possible. That's how I feel about them too, man. I love them both. I think the world of Jalen Hurts, man. Just going back to college, the way he handled himself, to watch how he handled himself all through this. I must have written down, no lie, about 4 or 5 quotes since he's been interviewed about losing. Just 4 or 5 quotes of the way this guy answered. Because I was like, Jesus Christ, I wish I had a son. I'd sit down and just.
So it's like Lamar can be box office. He's already been box office, and he can be even more box office if he has actual wide receivers, right? Because he's shown flashes of him being able to pass, right, at times, right? Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that can lead to team success. And I'm not saying that they're not a playoff team because they've been playoff team, but I'm talking about reaching a Super Bowl at least, right?
I think
we're with Jalen. You're right. He's a worker. He strives to be better. Can do whatever it takes to win. He doesn't necessarily have to be the flashiness that Lamar could be or some of these other QBs, right? But he can win. You know what I'm saying? And I would categorize Jalen as a quarterback you can win because of, right? Whereas Lamar, you win with Lamar. But I have yet to see them win. The Ravens win because of Lamar, because he only won one playoff game. But we have that outlier that he hasn't had wide receivers, right? But I think if he gets them, then I think he can elevate. But I think I've seen enough of Jalen to say you can win because of Jalen Hurts.
They paid Herbert, and Herbert hasn't done shit. Oh, because he has a bunch of record numbers. He hasn't won. He hasn't won, and he's loaded. You saw the contract he just got.
But that could be the case. That could be the similar thing. Like we know he can sling the ball. We know he's got the talent. But yeah, you're right. Can he elevate a team to win? Right? Where everyone's been saying about Burrow. Burrow isn't flashy.
No, Burrow. Yeah, Burrow.
But you know what I'm saying? But he wins. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. And I think Lamar and Herbert are kind of in that kind of similar, like all this talent and moments of like shit, whether it's Lamar running or Herbert, the way he throws. But guys like Burrow and Jalen, you can see you win because of, you can win because of them.
Daddy says Lamar.
This is interesting to me because, look, you guys know, last year, early on especially, I didn't think Jalen Hurts was the guy. He couldn't read the defenses properly. He couldn't go to a second read. He wasn't throwing outside. Like I've never seen growth like I've seen from one year to the next with Jalen Hurts. No question about it. But if I try to take my Eagles hat off, I'll tell you that he had the best offensive line in football, arguably the best tight end plus receiving groups in football, top 5 running game in football. Like, that matters a ton, man. If you put Lamar Jackson in that situation, if you put Justin Herbert in that situation,
No, Justin Herbert is very. Justin Herbert, you had weapons. He had
I'm not saying
monsters
that.
over there.
Listen, I'm not saying people don't have weapons. What I'm saying is you're talking about a guy who had literally the best offensive line in football. He had literally the best 2 wide receiver and tight end combination in all of football. That's different than having weapons. That's having the best weapons at your disposal. He had all of that. Like, if you want to compare what Mahomes is doing to Lamar Jackson, to a Justin Herbert, I'm with you. And Mahomes is the best tight end in football. That's a weapon.
Mhm.
He has maybe 1 or 2 weapons, but this guy has everything set up. Like, and that whole offense is coming back except Sanders and our right guard, who he's Pro Bowl, he's great, but you know, where you replace a right guard. You can argue that 2 least important positions are right guard and running back.
Yeah, you're going to
Everyone
draft a
else,
running back.
everyone else is signed for next year. So
Unless
Jalen's
Kelsey
in a
retires.
yeah, but I mean, I suspect he won't, but you're right. I suspect he'll play another year or so. I mean, but you're right, he could. We drafted his replacement already last year. That's another thing, like just talking high-level football. This is what we got out of our 1st and 2nd round picks this year. Nothing. Our 2nd round pick was drafted to be an heir apparent to Kelsey. He didn't play the whole year.
Mm.
Our 1st round pick was Jordan Davis, who way too early to call him anything.
Yeah.
But after he hurt his ankle, that guy did nothing for this team.
Yeah, defense.
So he better get his ass together because Cox ain't going to be there next year in all likelihood.
No.
Hargroves is going to be gone. We can't afford him. Like, if Jordan Davis is by no means a bust, but he's by no means a sure hit either.
Yeah. Good
You
thing
got a
is
replacement for Bradbury?
Bradbury's gone. You can't afford to pay 2 cornerbacks that much.
Yeah.
I think that
you can put CJ at the other corner. So
no, well, you want a safety. So this is the state of our offense. We have 2 free agents that are starters on the offensive line, right? Sorry, on the offense, right guard and running back. Our backup swing tackle Dillard is also a free agent. So assume you lose those guys. We already have somebody going to guard, and you draft another running back, and you draft a backup lineman.
yeah.
On defense, we have both starting safeties, 1 of the starting corners, so 3 forwards. Everyone besides Slay is an unrestricted free agent.
Yep.
The only one that I think you would want to sign is Gardner Johnson. Not that you wouldn't sign Bradbury, you just can't. And safeties get paid less than cornerbacks. Then both of our starting linebackers are free agents, Kazir White and Edwards. Kazir White is 100% gone.
Mhm.
Dean will go into that spot.
Yep.
And then Edwards, I would think you'd want to resign him unless somebody pays him too much. Then on the defensive line, Quinn is gone. Sue is gone. Joseph is gone. I believe Cox is gone. These are all unrestricted free agents. Hargrove is gone, unrestricted free agent. I think Brandon Graham will come back at a little bit of a discount because he's an Eagle for life. And he still had a productive season. But you're going to have to draft some edge help. You're going to have Reddick back and Sweat back, which is good.
Yep.
But, I mean, you're losing likely 7 to 8 starters on defense. So these 2 first-round picks, you're going to spend a little bit of money. You're going to have to retool there. You just have to retool there. So all that to say that I think Jalen Hurts is still set up for success for the next few years.
Oh yeah. He's
The offense is in a good spot.
If he pulls like because he talked a good talk. So let's say he pulls something like a Brady and he takes a little less to make sure he keeps the weapons around him, then we'll see.
No, you can do the excuse me. You can do the Mahomes 10 years
The extended contract, yeah.
and just vary it out, and then you restructure after 5 or 6,
Yeah,
and then just kind
I
of
hope
just
we
do it
get
that
back.
way. That's what Mahomes did.
Okay, so we're gonna stay within the Chiefs organization, and this just really kind of came back around. We've talked about it in the past, and I just I don't want to dwell on it, but I do want to touch on because I have a couple of thoughts on it now. The Eric Bieniemy situation, right? And I don't. Here's the thing: I hate to call it a situation because I don't think it's that, man. I was listening to a guy that I'm not a huge fan of, but whenever I want to get like a just completely contrarian perspective, I'll sit and I'll watch and I'll listen to him. And I was listening to Whitlock, Jason Whitlock.
Say Whitlock, and
Yeah, Jason Whitlock on his podcast. And every now and then he'll say some shit, and I'm like, whatever. And he was talking about Eric Bieniemy, and he avoids the race. He hates it when people talk about it. He's a denier. He's one of those, no, that's bull. This is more important than that. He'll never throw the race card. But he did say something this week that I was like, okay, I get it. He goes, and I hope I'm getting it right, but he said that this is a case not of racism, not of direct racism, but indirect racism. And I didn't understand what he was saying because his conversation was really nuanced, very like detailed, and he was talking about how it's not that Eric Bieniemy is black, it's that he's not the right type of black that the NFL likes. And that's why he feels like he's not getting the position. So I'm like, I didn't get that. He made the reference. He says, Eric Bieniemy is more Will Smith, is more Will Fresh Prince than he is Carlton Banks. And the NFL likes Carlton Banks. Because he referred to like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? And it's funny because after listening, I was listening to another guy, Doug Gottlieb.
Oh, God.
He's another one that talks about, I don't believe in racism. And he kind of said the same thing. And what he said it trying to defend his point. And when I was listening to it, I was like, Eric Bieniemy is, I want to say this correct. He's a bro. He's like a brother. He's more like a Pac-Man Jones, Chad Johnson. They say that he's more of a like when he gets mad, like more of like I don't want to call it a street dude. He's not relatable to the ownership, like a Tony Dungy, who's very well spoken, soft spoken, like a D'Amico Ryan, who's very, subdued in the way he talks and the way he is. What do you call it? They say this guy gets pissed, flies off the handle, he talks tough, talks the walk, and he's different. And I didn't get it at first, and then after listening, I was like, he doesn't fit the mold. He's more Malcolm X, not to refer, just to give you like the reference point. He's more Malcolm X than he is Martin Luther King in their minds. And that's why they avoid him like the plague. They don't understand his style. They don't understand how he relates. They don't understand that type of black man. And I was like, oh shit, man, maybe they're onto something. Maybe they're onto something because the resume speaks for itself. And I think it's a genius idea for him to get away from Andy Reid, to get away from, I know it's, honestly, like, you can continue winning Super Bowls, but I think it's genius for him if indeed he does have the talent to get away from the Kansas City Chiefs and see if he could do it again. See if he could duplicate at least somewhat the success of an offense away from them. It sucks that he has to go this route, but it's going to behoove him to do that so that he could show the league, hey, I'm more than just his understudy. I'm more than just his backup. I make these calls. This is what the percentage looks like when I make the play call. You know what I mean? So I want to know your thoughts.
I mean, you could stay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pop.
So those two guys are idiots because if we're gonna label these goody two shoes, Carlton Banks, Will Smith, there ain't nobody more black than Mike Tomlin.
Right. No.
Right?
Yes.
So I don't want to hear that he's not getting it because of that. So that's number one. Number two, I think there's two reasons why he's not getting it. Number one, I don't think he might have not interviewed well a couple of times, and those executives talk. Oh, when you interviewed him, how was it? Because especially in any realm of people looking for jobs, you always want feedback how you interview so you can be better next time. You always want that. If you're not doing that in your life when you're interviewing, then you're an idiot. But that's another discussion. But I think the other thing is that he is not the primary play caller. He's not. It's always Andy Reid. But Bieniemy does get to make calls as well, like he did towards the end of the game, which is what he did. But he's under that shadow of Andy Reid. In other words, head coaches are either they're the play caller, right? They're the head coach, but they're also the primary play caller, like LaFleur is in Green Bay.
I'm gonna push back on you 1 second. You answer. Do me a favor and answer this. Then how come Matt Patricia gets a job after being a defense coordinator under Bill Belichick, who we know ran the defense? Why do certain players? It doesn't always apply. And I think that's where it gets great.
But every team is different. Every head coach runs it differently. There is no one way of doing it, is what I was trying to tell you. Some teams, the head coach makes the calls, whether it's an offensive head coach or a defensive head coach. They control it. Other head coaches let their coordinators make the calls, but then they'll sit there and say, well, I want to see a screen coming up. I want to see this type of pass. He's not calling the play. He's just maybe telling the coordinator, we need to try it this way. And the coordinator will look at the list and figure it out. But with I think what's happening with Bieniemy and Reed is that they've kind of shared the duties. I'm not even going to say 50-50, but I think it's more Andy Reid, percentage-wise than it has been Bieniemy over the years. But that's why Andy Reid always goes and gives him credit. You know what I'm saying? Like Andy Reid says, hey, Bieniemy did this, Bieniemy did that, because he doesn't maybe want that to overshadow Bieniemy. Like he's not doing it on purpose, and it's not helping Bieniemy when he does it like that. Even though he's not doing it intentionally. He's trying to help. He's saying, I want to give credit to Eric. You know what I'm saying? He had a hand in this too. But we know that it's at the end of the day, Reid is the play caller. So to your point, is that it sucks that he may have to go and be a coordinator somewhere else where he's strictly calling all the plays, and then he can prove,
because this is either going to be feast or famine.
No, but I'm gonna go with Mike on this. Like Nick Sirianni's a head coach. He wasn't calling any plays. Look at the last 4 offensive coordinators for the Chiefs. Matt Nagy didn't call plays, got his head coaching job. Brad Childress didn't call plays, got his head coaching job. Doug Peterson didn't call plays, got his head coaching job. So those were all since Andy Reid has been the coach there. Doug Peterson, Childress, Nagy, and now Bieniemy. None of them called plays, and all the rest of them became offensive coordinators.
No, you're right, but I think that still that overlying umbrella that is a black coach getting an opportunity still is a factor there. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the direct reason for Bieniemy. I think there's multitude of reasons for Bieniemy.
Well,
I think it's a layered. It's a layered
thing.
And I say the black coaches thing is definitely much more applicable to an offensive-minded black coach getting a shot than a defensive-minded black coach.
I would agree with that.
Because of this, I think the whole kind of misconception and stereotypical racism of like to run the defense, you just got to be like aggressive and let's go.
I'll give you another one that's driving me crazy.
I would agree with that.
I'm going to give you another one that's driving me crazy. Last year, Byron Leftwich was the it guy. Offered the Miami job, offered the Jacksonville job, and whatever. This year he gets fired. Dude, I feel like when it comes to that, there's a shorter leash. There's a shorter leash.
Well, he didn't have a short leash. He's been there for years.
No, I'm saying in other words,
I'm talking about him.
He didn't have success 1 year, and now
how you fall from grace.
Yeah, I mean, if he would have been the only coach fired, I would tend to 100% agree with that. I'm not saying that that's not a factor, but they fired a shit ton of coaches in Tampa, a bunch of coaches. I think the head coach is the only one that was remaining. He's still looking.
He's the one that they should fire.
He's the one that should have been fired.
Coordinator, yeah. He's a D coordinator. He's not a head coach.
They fired almost every coach in Tampa, and they're still looking for an offensive coordinator. They still haven't found one yet. Or I think I saw today, Dave Canales, I think is who they're going to hire. I think I saw
Crazy
today.
Shit was, you know who got stuck with this? Flores. Flores turns down the Cardinals job, right? Gets hired with it. Where did he get hired? In
Minnesota.
In Minnesota, right? All while he has a lawsuit. I'm like, dude, you turned down 2 jobs and got another job, and you still have a lawsuit? That shit is crazy to me. I don't know how that's going to affect that. I would like to see, but it doesn't take away from the fact that Miami did what they did, because Miami might as well have done what they did.
They got stripped a draft.
It might be true, yeah. So we'll see. All right, guys, we're going to move on. The next topic was released. Oh, real quick, I want to touch on the quarterback carousel, and then the last couple of minutes, I really want to dive into some NBA.
We're not talking more Eagles.
It's enough.
Listen, man. Whatever you want to chime in. What's any final thoughts on your Eagles, man?
No.
You want to bury them? Bury them right now. Let's go. Put them away.
My final thoughts are go Birds. We'll be back.
You got to ride with them. Quarterback carousel. I'm going to name the quarterback, and we're going to just do it. Just do it quick. I'm going to name the quarterback, and I want you to give me a landing spot, B landing spot, where you think they're going to land, and another possible spot for where they're going to land. All right, Aaron Rodgers.
Jets and backup being, I guess, the Raiders, right?
Okay. Lamar Jackson.
Baltimore.
I think Baltimore with maybe that backup being the Jets.
That's a lot. That's a lot. David Carr.
New Orleans,
New Orleans, I agree. Yeah, maybe Tampa
No?
Bay. I'll take a shot on him.
maybe Tampa is the backup.
Maybe Tampa. Ryan Tannehill.
Who?
Ryan Tannehill.
Backup,
You want to hear something crazy? You know
pretty
that
good backup. but
You
a
know he's
backup.
on the list. He's on the list of possible because he played really well under Nathaniel Hackett at some point. So they were thinking about maybe bringing him to the Jets. I'm like, what? As a number one, not as a two, as a one. Yeah, he definitely.
He's a bridge quarterback. If you draft
Yeah,
him,
he's-
he's great.
fuck him. Fuck that guy. Fuck him. Fuck his.
Why
mouth.
is Malik Willis supposed to start this year, or is that what
I
you're
have
saying?
no idea. No clue. No clue. All right. Who are the other quarterbacks that are on the carousel here? Those are the top ones. There was another one. Jimmy Garoppolo.
Tampa?
Jimmy G's Tampa?
He's definitely not back in San Francisco.
No, he's not.
Tampa,
The Raiders?
Raiders. Yeah.
Tampa and Raiders. Okay. And who do you think starts over in San Francisco? Trey Lance?
Purdy.
I think it's
Purdy's gonna be out
It's
for
Purdy's
long.
job to lose now. But
Purdy's got to lose, right?
Lance is going to have a chance at it first because he's
Yeah,
going to be
he's gonna be in the
he's going to be fully healthy, but by the start of training camp, whereas Purdy will not be. It's a 6-month injury, so he's gonna have a shot at it because he's going to be coming back sooner. But we'll see. But it should be Purdy.
Who
if
else?
you're the Lions, do you draft a quarterback? Because
No.
ideally you're not going to get this high of a pick for this is the Seattle pick.
No,
Wow.
they have
Not the
playoff.
Seattle pick. They have the what pick? Whoever's pick. That's
No.
like top 10.
You have a good quarterback. Goff is a good quarterback, and he's
You're
young.
riding with Goff.
Yes,
He's
he had a
not-
great
he-
season.
He's Ryan Tannehill to me, man.
No,
Tannehill had a great season 2 years ago.
you don't know. You see, Jared Goff took the team to the Super Bowl. Jared
Got-
Goff
didn't
has a
score any
mediocre.
points.
Grabbed the team, brought him back, and damn.
I
near
just
had him in the
don't
The
see
team
Tannehill.
that traded him won the Super Bowl the next year.
I just don't see
They were a
Tannehill.
position away. They were just,
I don't think Tannehill can do what Goff has done in Detroit.
Goff is the shit. I like him.
I think
like
his game is suited. That style of offense that Brian Johnson, the coordinator, has is suited for Goff's style. Tannehill is a play action quarterback. You need a
Mhm.
running game behind him, but that has to be that's why it worked in Tennessee. He's not good enough to win your Super Bowl. He's good enough to win you the division and go to the playoffs and even beat a couple of teams here and there in the playoffs. But that's
I
about
feel
it.
the same way about Goff.
I don't know. He
I
plays
agree that in a normal world, after the year he had, you don't really draft a quarterback. But I also think about Detroit and
I mean, not a high round quarterback. Maybe a later one that you think you might see.
well, no,
something.
but my point is that if you don't think he's a Super Bowl quarterback, you're not going to get as high of a pick as you're going to get now. Like if you're as good as you expect to be. So I wouldn't bank on him getting me to the Super Bowl, but hey, maybe I'm wrong.
They got a shot in that division, especially if Rodgers leaves.
I mean, when you look at the NFC, who's the surprise? Who do you really put stock in besides the Niners and the Eagles?
for next year. Minnesota.
Yeah, you put stock in Minnesota.
Yes. I don't.
that-
listen,
what's gonna be
they're
different
their
next year
defense
than this?
coordinator.
They're
getting a defensive coordinator.
defense.
Their
getting
defensive
a defensive
coordinator was
coordinator.
not a bad coordinator. Let's be real. They didn't have a lot of talent there.
They didn't have a lot of time,
You're
but they're
gonna
getting a
stack
defensive
up with
coordinator.
that
They're going to
talent.
draft.
You're still
They're gonna
paying
draft.
Cousins, you're paying Jefferson, you're paying Thielen, you're paying Dalvin Cook, you're paying a couple of linemen. Like the money's still being spent on offense.
But they got some draft picks. They're going to pick up some. They're going to solidify that defense. They got a
draft-
coordinator
they
now.
draft quarterbacks every year, and none of them pan out.
I
The
think that
Lions have the Rams pick from this year.
Yeah,
Is that Joey Porter Jr.? What number is that?
no, it's top 5 pick. I think top
It's
6. Or 7.
6.
Joey Porter Jr. They go to Penn
That's
State.
too
Joey
high
Porter
for
Jr.
Joey Porter Jr.
What
That's
number
too
Joey
high.
Porter Jr. is? At like 5.
I'm guessing he gets drafted between like 12 and 20.
No, he goes at like 5 or 6. He's the best corner.
I think he's the third cornerback off the board.
Really? Who do you think is
Yeah.
better than Joey Porter?
I think Witherspoon is the best quarterback in the draft.
Really? Oh,
And then
wow.
I think Gonzalez is going next.
Gonzalez and what do you call it? I have Joey Porter graded high, man. I like him out of Penn State.
I think he's a good player, but I mean Witherspoon, like he had Sauce Gardner numbers. You know what I mean? Like he was something special.
Sauce, baby. Yeah, Kirk and Dak have the same mold. They're definitely shaped in the same mold. But you win that many one-score games, I think you solidify your defense, and I think that
You get
should
half
be
of
a
those
at least
with a better defense. You get half of those wins.
should be a little better. Yeah, I mean, you should be a little better. Like Jesus Christ, I think that the Packers are going to be interesting to watch with Jordan Love. If
They're gonna suck.
if Rodgers doesn't stay, yeah, they're full real build. Yeah, that division is to the taking. Chicago is trash. Packers are not going to be
let's
good.
see how good the Packers coach is, because if he's really good, then he can scheme a good offense for Jordan Love.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
either way, they're in rebuild. Either way, they're in rebuild.
They have some young
defense.
talent. Let's be real. They have a good running back and some good. They actually do have Watson's a good receiver. Dubs could end up being a good number 2. They have a decent tight end there still. Like they have pieces.
Nah, Robert Tonyan is not a decent tight end. He's average.
Yeah, that's fine, but he's not like you need to fix him immediately.
Mm-hmm.
He might be a free agent, actually.
Might be.
What else?
Outside of Philly and San Fran,
You kind of think like Detroit might be like who's the
Detroit
surprise team?
will be a playoff team next year. I'm comfortable saying that
Maybe
they'll be a
New
playoff
Orleans
team.
will be a surprise team because they still have some talent on their roster.
You know who I was thinking maybe
They are.
lands Lamar, and I think it would be great if they landed Lamar. Atlanta.
That would be good for them.
I think Atlanta would land Lamar. That'd be a great landing
Then
spot.
they can go and get Algie Crumpler and get work done too, and just run it.
Go back in time. If they can go back in time, right? No, they got Pitts. They got some wide receivers. What's his name's coming back? The wide receiver.
They have Drake London.
Mm-hmm.
They've got Pitts. They got Tyler Algier, the rookie running back. So they've got 3 solid position players,
Mm-hmm.
skill position players.
They
to
need
build
defense.
off of them. They need defense. Yeah.
They needed defense as long as they've been the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I don't
I
ever
know,
remember
right?
them having a good defense. Maybe that Super Bowl team with Jamal Anderson.
Yeah.
And Abraham was their big rusher on the team. I don't know. I don't know what Indianapolis is doing, to be honest. They're gonna have to draft a QB.
They're gonna get CJ Stroud.
Yeah, they're gonna have to go.
I think that's a good fit for them too.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I suspect he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft.
You think CJ? I like
got
his
a
mobility.
I got a topic for us when we start getting into the draft.
Yeah, for sure.
It's that Justin Fields Bears first pick and Bryce Young. This discussion has been thrown around whether the Bears should trade Fields.
Okay.
And go
if you wanna
with
reset the
Bryce Young.
clock, I'm gonna just touch this on it. If you want to reset the clock, genius move. But Bryce Young is
That's why-
180 pounds.
But that's what I say. That's why it's an interesting conversation, because from a business perspective, it makes sense. But from a football perspective, I don't think it does.
Bryce
In
is
terms of the two
Bryce is
quarterbacks.
Pat White. You guys remember Pat White out of West Virginia?
Oh, yeah.
They tried to put him in at Miami to play quarterback. He got hit and fucking never was the same.
Yeah.
He's 180, dude. He's not. He's not.
I think Bryce Young is a much better quarterback than Pat White ever was. But
Yeah, but
I get it.
How much did Drew Brees or Russell Wilson weigh when they came?
Okay,
into the
buddy,
league?
hold on.
Yeah. But
I think they were in the twos.
Yeah, but it'll be an interesting conversation for draft when we start doing the draft talk.
They were in the twos.
Is that your dog?
Yeah, he wants to go outside.
The dog runs the house now.
Yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy now. I'll met him this weekend. Pat White was the prototypical. What we got here?
prototype for the new QB.
Yeah, he was very early in his day, but he got rocked in Miami and it was never the same.
Different NFL back then.
Yeah, definitely different. You had I think maybe this is a better suited for smaller quarterbacks that maybe a little more success, possibly. But he's not built like Hurts. He's not built like Lamar. Lamar's a big, strong kid, bro. He's skinny. That guy's like a wiry muscle. He's strong. You know what I mean? So let's not think he's in. And Drew Brees was a pocket passer. Bryce Young relies a lot on his legs. He's not a guy that's going to sit in the pocket and just kill you from the pocket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that leaves you susceptible. At 180, that's what I'm worried about. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll touch on it later on.
How about Mikal Bridges dropping 45 in his first game in New Jersey?
Hey, Mikal Bridges. What about the new look Lakers, bro?
They made their team a lot better. No question.
They looked really good yesterday because I was watching the game. Because I obviously in our chat I sent I needed 12 rebounds from Anthony Davis, son of a bitch, only got 10. But anyway, so I didn't win that.
They're gonna look better and better. They got a bunch of scorers, guys who could fill the
perimeter
bucket.
shooters.
And they're
crazy
gonna look
how you
good.
get rid of
They're starting to
Westbrook.
look really good, and then Anthony Davis is gonna get hurt and out for the year. And then they're gonna-
D'Angelo Russell, baby. Okay, what about so talk to me, NBA, man. Talk to me about the NBA. Let me know who you got, who's your hot, who's low. You know, what do you like so far this season? Who do you see?
I like
with the
both
changes?
conferences being wide open. Wide open.
Super.
I don't think the Boston is leagues above anybody. Not the
Right.
Bucks or the Sixers.
Milwaukee's been on a goddamn tear, though. They've been on a tear.
They have, but when they play Boston or Philly in the playoffs, they'll have trouble.
Yeah, but I'm saying now we're seeing them because they got Middleton back and they got Holiday. All three of them are now together. And when that happened 10 games ago, they've been smoking everyone. First in points, like everything. It's crazy. And they didn't even have Jay Crowder yet. You know, he's still getting in shape.
Yeah. No, respect to the Milwaukee is one of those three teams that's going to come out of the East. And in the West, what is it? Is it two teams that might come out? Is it Dallas? Is it the Clippers?
The Suns?
The Suns, excuse me. Yeah, the Suns are probably the favorite. Nuggets and Suns.
You know how, listen, man. I think that they made a genius move bringing in a second star. And I think the most genius part of that move is that they understand that they're going to lose at some point. CB.
Giannis got injured.
Hey, way to jinx him, guys. Nice.
He suffered a wrist injury.
I'm going.
They're gonna. You know how many wrist injuries I suffered between 13 and 18?
Let me tell you something. I suffered a couple tunnels with that shit now.
At least you're not blind.
Yo, shoot your eye out. No, that's okay.
At least you're not blind.
That water bill was crazy high for all the extra showers I was taking. Oh, my mom was like, "We keep running out of shampoo and conditioner. What the hell's going on?" No, that's bad. What do you call it? What about? Let's talk about the Suns, man. I think that there was a genius move because they know they're not going to be able to rely on CP3 in the playoffs.
I think
they know
on after this year.
They fucking know it. They know they can't rely on his ass. They got to bring in a second star to be able to solidify, and so that the scoring doesn't drop off, and everything doesn't fall off as soon as this guy gets hurt. You know what I mean? Now they got Booker, they got my man Durant. I like that team. I think they're going to be
Ayton and
yes,
and Chris Paul. Yeah,
they're going to be everything that the Nets thought they would be. In my opinion, that's what I think. These things they're going to be. They have a legit scorer, Booker, a playmaker. You know what I mean? And then they have top 5 player in the league in fucking Durant. You know what I'm saying? Jesus Christ, bro.
Durant, if you think about it, like, has there ever been a superstar who's played on so many nasty teams with so many Hall of Famers?
No.
There hasn't. Everywhere this guy goes, he's surrounded by Hall of Famers.
He doesn't have that leadership gene.
But has he ever played on a team that didn't have another top 5 player in the league with him?
No, because remember when he was on Oklahoma, they were loaded. They just weren't recognized as loaded yet. They didn't realize who these guys were going to be.
Well, I think once they made the finals, obviously it was a terrible move.
Right, they were fucking loaded.
Harden, but they were.
That's the woulda, coulda, shoulda been of the year, man. Who they could have been something special.
After the Phillies and the Eagles, if the Sixers make the finals and lose, that's going to be cool.
That city's just jinxed. It's a fact.
So great. So great.
Okay, not sold on the Suns. Ayton hasn't shown to be that guy. Booker, Kobe some nights and then go silent others. They have to hope their side. Okay, they stay healthy. That's the key with them. They gotta hope they stay healthy, bro. And they have.
They have to stay healthy. But I don't think it's fair to say that Ayton hasn't shown to be that guy. He's been the third option, fourth option on that team generally. Like he's a good player. I mean, yeah, he's had his ups and downs, I guess, but he's a top 5 center in the league.
But health is affecting a few teams in the Western Conference, like it's like the Clippers. I think the Clippers from top to bottom are the most talented team in the league. But their big two have to be healthy in the playoffs.
That's if you believe in Kawhi Leonard. I don't believe in Kawhi.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And
what do you mean believe in him? We've seen him win a championship.
No. The best ability is availability.
That's what we're saying. Is assuming the big two are healthy.
Right. That's why they're doing everything they're doing, so he can be healthy in the playoffs.
But you know what? If they sign Westbrook, that's going to be their Achilles heel.
Is that what they're talking
about? I don't
see
a matchup.
Was Westbrook cut by the Jazz?
He's going to get bought out. So there's like 3 or 4
that already
teams.
Is set, or they're thinking about it?
No, it's going to happen. So they're like the Clippers are already in talks with him about coming in there. I think he's going to go to the Clippers because number one.
I don't know why people keep thinking that he's their missing piece. Do they not watch him play basketball? Do they not watch this? As look, here's the thing, right? When you're in the game, I guarantee there's a bunch of people that respect how hard he goes and how he plays. He plays hard every night. There's no denying that, right? But you also have to look at Styles make fights, and you have to look at this guy and look at where on earth does his style fit? You know what I'm saying? He only fits if he could be the man, and that's it. Like you put him on a team like I don't even know, maybe like an Orlando Magic, where he's gonna be the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's gonna lead and you're not gonna win. I don't think you're gonna win, but he's gonna have crazy stats.
You don't
You know
do
what I'm
that
saying?
with somebody his age, though. He's got to play for a contender, or he has no value.
None. But the thing about him is, where do you put what contender?
Have him run your second unit.
He doesn't want to come off the bench.
I think it could work. In theory, it could work with the Clippers because they need a point guard to dominate.
If they want
ball.
him to come off the bench, if he wants to come off the bench,
They need a point guard. They need a point guard to dominate because Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are not the ball handlers. So
yeah, but the thing is, he can't shoot, and he's ball dominant. He's gonna try to drive and do shit.
I think that's where it can help him. As the shooting, I agree, but I think the driving could help that type of offense because of you're two stars on the perimeter.
If he kicks out, that's the thing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. But if there's something that his game can benefit, it could be the Clippers because they need a guard to handle the ball.
What do you think about the Warriors? You think the Warriors is their time over, or you think they still got something left in the tank?
I'll talk to if they're healthy and going to the playoffs. You better not count them out.
I don't think they can win the championship.
I think Draymond is done. I like the way their young guys are playing. Wiggins and what's his name? Poole. They've stepped up. What do you call it? I still think they have all the pieces there. And maybe during the playoff, if they make the playoffs, you could have.
That's all I'm saying. I understand. I understand the hesitation, especially since he can't win on the road. But come playoff time, they're an experienced team.
I really want to talk to Javi about my New York Knicks, man. They're the most fucking confusing team in the history of basketball. They got me just. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't understand their philosophy anymore. I don't understand their philosophy. They have some really good players. They have some key players. I don't think they're being played correctly, and they still have the guy that they paid to be their star, just is hit or miss. And then you have Randall, who is like paid like a superstar, but he's like a third player option on that team. I can't with him. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. But whatever. We're definitely gonna dive now that the season's over. We're gonna dive heavy into basketball. So definitely let's brush up on that. Let's go deep, into your team. People chime in, let us know. The other thing we're going to start talking about is, I don't know if you guys are into it, but I'm super into it. I'm actually going to probably get some tickets, Bobs, if you're down, to go watch the World League, the World Baseball.
World Baseball Classics in Miami.
Yo, dude.
Sure. Well,
that Dominican team,
yeah, Miami's one of them.
Dude, that Dominican team might have
nasty.
the best lineup ever put together, ever, in all of baseball. Nasty, bro.
I was looking at the dates. It's in March. So
yeah. I'm gonna see if we cop. I'll cop 2 tickets. Me and you, we go out there. We had a good time last time we went to Marlins Stadium.
See, we got to see if we can get tickets to the UFC fight.
Oh, it's in Miami, right? Yeah.
It's a great card. It's a great card.
Speaking of which, did any of you guys watch the Volodowski, Matchevich, whatever his name is? Right?
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
I watched it on repeat, and when I initially watched it, I was pissed because I watched it from the perspective of like a fan, where you watch who at the end who's left standing and who looks like shit, and I was like, yo, Volkov beat the shit out of him, bro, because he's the last man. He's standing like a boss. But then when you watch the fight and you break it down round by round, how the judges break it down, you're like, oh, 2 could have gone to this guy. I kind of leaned more. Now I saw the pound for pound ratings came out, and Volkanovski's number 1. And I was like, how does that work? Well, if he's a 145 pounder, he fought a 155 pounder to a razor thin decision. What that tells you is that if they were the same size, the 145 pounder would win. You know what I mean? Or the 145 pounder would give him hell. So yeah, naturally, pound for pound, he's the better fighter. So I agreed with it. I thought it was legit. These boxing guys got to get this shit together, AK. Man, we need to see some fights, bro. I don't know what's going on with these guys.
When's the Tank Davis Garcia fight? Do we know?
Supposedly, I think it's April or May. but there's nothing solid yet. They just talked about it. They don't have anything on paper yet.
I
That's all
thought they had, I
bullshit.
know. I thought they.
Nah, it's all bullshit. It's all speculation. They like to promote it like they do, but they haven't exactly worked out any details. Still no Crawford Spence. Still no fucking. It's all bullshit boxing, man. It pisses me off. That's why the UFC, like, I always hate to admit it, but they just run rings around this fucking the boxers because they just won't put together. They won't put together the fights that people want to see. They just won't. That Garcia Davis fight, I don't know about it, but you know, there's a lot of young people that follow these guys. They say that shit might break fucking the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather record.
It's
Because
set
of
for
their
April.
following.
It's supposed to be set for April 15th, but it's,
Is it set signed though? Because all right. If it
no,
is-
you're like what you're saying is you're right. Like that's the date, but they're
Yeah.
still kind of calling it tentative.
I want to see. Let's. I'll believe it when I see them freaking sign the paperwork.
How could you?
Because-
There's so many good fighters right now in that weight class. Like if you're not making good fights, what are you doing?
I don't. It's my man Al Heyman, bro. Al Heyman, he's a genius boxing promoter because what he does is he has his stock and he keeps all the money within the family, fighting each other. And what that does is it doesn't allow top rank fighters in. It doesn't allow anybody from the outside to get a chance. And believe it or not, the best matches are against fighters outside the staple. Like Spence is in Al Heyman, what he calls top rank. I think Crawford is the best matchup. You have guys like my man.
So stupid. Who is?
Yeah,
who
it's
is-
stupid. It is
Who is
stupid, bro.
Spence fighting like Thurman or something like that?
Yes, which is a good fight. Bro.
Come on, man. It's a fine fight, but it's not the fight.
No, it's not the fight. Absolutely not the fight. We all know what the fight is. Shit, man.
They're gonna do the same thing and just wait too long.
And meanwhile,
Because now it
fucking-
matters more on what your record is. Like, can you stay undefeated as opposed to
I have to say that Mayweather ruined that shit, bro.
You
He
did.
made undefeated the most important thing. And
Right.
I'm like, that's never been boxing. Boxing is, as a matter of fact, Muhammad Ali. You lose, you come back. You lose, you come back. You know what I'm saying? That was always a part of it. Now that zero means so fucking much, man.
It's so
That
stupid.
it ruins the damn sport. You know, people are protecting that zero instead of making the best matchups. You lose, get your ass whipped, come back up, come back and win. You know what I mean? You gotta freaking you guys gotta check out. I don't know if it's in English or Spanish, but you gotta check out Julio Cesar Chavez, right? Senior gets interviewed, right? And in this interview, they ask him, like, you're in Mexico, man. Did you ever, you know, get pressed by the cartels? He was like, they were all my friends. I was friends with he threw when he beat Hector Macho Camacho, he threw a party. And he said at that party and he named every single narco from Colombia to freaking Mexico. They were all at that party, right? And they're all coming up to him, congratulating, hey, congratulations, great job. And he looks at them and goes, yeah, that's all good. Where's the coke? Like, where the fuck? He goes, all the top narcos in the world were in that room. Can you believe not one of them had an ounce of coke on them? And he goes, I got fucking pissed off and I left and I walked outside, ran up into a security guard. The security guard had a couple of fucking grams, and we went to town. I was like, that's crazy. You're in a fucking room full of narcos, and not one of them has a fucking drug for you. But he was telling crazy wild stories, bro. That guy has. I always wondered the same thing about like a Canelo. Like, you're in the heart of, you know, narco country. Like, how does that work? Do you have to bow to them? Do you have to go see them?
Hey,
You
man,
know what it is?
those narcs are following the rule. Never get high on your own supply, man. Come on.
Yeah, right,
Not
exactly.
to mention, if you're a narc, you're not going to kill one of the biggest boxers in the world. Talk about bringing some attention to you.
Yeah, but they're like, it's just crazy. I was like,
No, but think about it. Even crazy ain't stupid.
true. You're right. But the fact that they had to deal with that, she was like, no. They were all my friends. They would bet for me, bet against me, bet on me. Most of them would bet on me, and you know, but they were all just wanted to be my friend. I was like, damn, dog. That could be intimidating to be a boxer coming out of Mexico like that, but it is what it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us in our living room, joining us in our barbershop to talk that shit and chop it up, man, and talk sports. You know, we want to make sure that we say thank you and appreciate, like, share. You know, I want to get on some guests, man. If you're a regular and you want to come on one of these days and you want to chop it up with us, let me know behind the scenes. I'll send you a link. You can jump on with us and chop it up and share your thoughts. We definitely always appreciate, people coming on. On behalf of my guys, my man PD Pablo, aka El Schefter, my man Akil, aka AK, that's crazy, right? aka AK, my man Javito Colombiano, who's busy tonight, my man Dre, who's taking care of business. I want to say thank you. My man Mark Twain said the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you discover why. This has been the Sports is My Love Language podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Dropping Dimes, aka the Hopeful Romantic, aka the Feminist with Chauvinist Tendencies, and thank you for walking in our why. Have a good one, people. Good night.
Yeah, I thought it would be like the Super Bowl where the official showed up with 1 minute left and didn't see them all game.
That's fucking funny, right?